They like to invest their money where they can make a difference, and that usually is in their own business.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. I want to give you a quick something to think about today. I was on my, doing inspections today, doing some comp photos. By the way, sad deal. So super snowy out there, Wyoming today, and going through the pass. And unfortunately, about a half hour before I got to a certain turn, head-on collision. And unfortunately, somebody lost their life. It was just a sad deal. Ended up being in that canyon for, a couple hours. Backtracking was not an option. The only other way out of that area was through the Teton Pass, which happened to be closed for an avalanche. So anyway, super sad, but I was listening to a book, and it's a great book. I want to share with you an insight today and maybe make a recommendation for this book. Might be something you want to check out. I want to pause here and remind you to check out ANow software. Of course, ANow, I get asked all the time, what is ANow, Dustin? Folks, check it out if you have not done it before. I want to talk more about it in just a few minutes, but it's anow.com/coach, ANOW.com/coach. Okay, so the book I've been reading, I say reading in air quotes. You can't see me because this is audio, but I am air quoting it all day long right now. The book is called The Millionaire Mind. It is by Dr. Stanley, not to be confused with another book by, I think, similar to that title, by Harv Eker. Goofy book, but this one is great. So Dr. Stanley, you might remember Dr. Stanley from The Millionaire Next Door. Great book, by the way, also. But this is the book that really dives into the stats, the statistics of how the millionaire mind works. And basically, just to sum it up, Dr. Stanley goes into a lot of detail, a lot of research, where he reached out to both millionaires and decamillionaires, and basically put together some synthesis of their behaviors, their thought patterns, their buying habits, their residences, their just life as they live their life, and lays it out in the book. Now, by the way, the book is excruciatingly long. I mean, it is so long. I think it was like 18 hours, and I'm still getting through it. I think I'm only 10 hours into it. Very long book, but very fascinating. Oh, by the way, there's also a lot of repetition. I wish there was a condensed version. Maybe there is out there, but I haven't seen it yet. I don't read a lot. I do a lot of Audible. The only version I could find of this book was the full version, very long. Listen to it on double speed because there's a lot of repetition. But man, there's some good stuff. So when I'm driving and I'm doing an Audible book, I often will have an Evernote also open. So I can be driving down the road and then just hit a button and I can dictate whatever notes I have from that book. And I would say on average, a typical book is, 3 to 4 hours. And I might have 10 to 15 notes from that book so that I can go back later and basically remind myself of the things that I learned. Okay. I'm about 10 hours into this book, and I have at least 50 audio notes on this thing. Just a great book. I highly recommend it. But there was something said in this book today that made me think of something else. And I want to give you something to think about today, but want to pause here and remind you to think about ANow software. Folks, what is ANow? Well, sure, it's a way to manage your appraisal business, but what does that mean? Well, let me tell you. On a regular basis, either on my laptop, my tablet, or my phone, I can log in and quickly look at my analytics. Now, what does that mean? First of all, I can tell how many open orders we have. I can tell what's coming up on their due date. I can tell with every single order what the process is. Oh, this one has comps. This one is out for inspection. This one, there's so many details you can go into as to what the process is for each and every order. But I'll tell you what I really love about ANow. It's the ability to be able to run my business. And that means I can find out how much we're doing. I can find out what our revenue is. I can find out what our unpaids are. I can find out if I'm going to make payroll this month. Folks, you don't have time to crunch these numbers. Trust me, you don't. Let ANow do it for you. And for a fraction of the cost of your time, anow.com/coach, anow.com/coach. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. I told you I was driving around snowy Wyoming today and listening to the book that I've been listening to for about a week now. And the book is The Millionaire Mind by Dr. Thomas Stanley. It is a great, great book. Pick it up, please. You will learn great things. Now, one of the things that Dr. Stanley talks about in this book is how millionaires invest their money. And there was a whole section today as I was driving about that. And one of the things he likes to do as an author is he kind of lays out what you think millionaires might do, and then he kind of dispels the myth by the numbers. In other words, he might say to you, for example, now you might think that millionaires would have very expensive homes in very high-end neighborhoods, but that actually isn't true. Most millionaires average a $1.4 million home. Most of them don't have or have a very small mortgage on that home, and they live in very sensible neighborhoods, not the high-end luxury neighborhoods that you would think that they live in. Things like that. So one of the things he was talking about today was the investment strategies of millionaires. And he said something that just really, really struck with me, and I think it can be applied to the appraisal world. And that's the purpose of today's podcast. He said, you would think that most millionaires are heavily invested in the stock market, and you would be wrong. Millionaires understand that they can only affect the overall market very little to none. One individual is not going to affect the overall market. But millionaires have a different mindset. They like to invest their money where they can make a difference, and that usually is in their own business. Now, let that sink in for just a second, and then I want to apply it to the overall world of appraisal. The gist of what Dr. Stanley is talking about is that millionaires like to invest in places that they have influence. And the biggest influence that they can have is in their own business, not in IBM, not in Amazon, not in blue chip stocks. They don't have a lot, if any, effect on that market. And they understand that. And they work within that system by investing in things that they can have an influence on. Now, as you know, I spend a lot of time online. And most of the time, I am kind of feeling out and trying to understand the processes, the mindset of appraisers. One of the things that I see quite often, just to be blunt, is a lot of complaining. And it's typically complaining about things, let's just be honest, that we don't really have a whole lot of effect on. It's AMCs, it's regulations, it's AQB requirements, it's government regulations, it's Fannie, it's Freddie. Fill in the blank. That's what we're complaining about. Folks, for the last 10 years as the appraiser coach, I have tried and continue to try to guide appraisers into changing their mindset. I'm just going to say it bluntly. You don't have squat effect on some of those things. If you think you can change Fannie Mae, if you think you can change even your state regulations, right? Now, don't misunderstand me. I am not saying you should not try. I am not saying you should not be involved. I'm not saying any of that. You absolutely should be involved. Today, now, it was not appraisal related, but today I learned of something happening in my state legislature and immediately got on the line and contacted my representatives and voiced my opinion. You absolutely should be involved. But folks, where are you spending your time? What are you spending your hard-earned time doing? I hope it's not complaining. I hope it's working on stuff that you do have an effect on. As the appraiser coach, I have tried for 10 years to help appraisers to understand the conditions that we live in, not necessarily be thrilled and happy about them, but understand them, and then understand that the most effect that you can have on your bottom line and on your lifestyle, on your way of living, well, it's going to be at your level. It's with your own business. So just as millionaires are not so much focused on stuff they can't control, they are very focused on stuff that they can. My question, my good friends, where is your focus? What are you spending your time focusing on? I guarantee life is never going to be perfect for you, but I guarantee you can work within the system to make your life as comfortable as possible by working on your business. One of the things that I love to do as the Appraiser Coach is my monthly newsletter. Now, check this out, folks. The newsletter is not just a newsletter, right? This is an 8-page color newsletter with a cartoon, with a funny picture, but mostly packed with meat, right? And it comes out every single month. And speaking of audio, it also comes out in audio version so you can listen while you drive around doing your comp pictures. Every single month, we have the chalkboard section. And if you want to work on your business and find out how Dustin Harris runs his business to be more efficient, more effective, I highly recommend that you join the All-Star team. Go to theappraisercoach.com and click on memberships today.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Because there's a lot of repetition. Sorry, editor.